That music belongs to none other than community member, former BloodStream guest, Tamar Mitchell, who is a music artist that we have had the pleasure of connecting with recently to learn more about his music, the inspiration behind it, what it means to him. This is the first segment of this kind that we are doing, profiling various musical artists in our community, diving into their music, what it means to them, and what it means to the bleeding disorders community. This segment is led by none other than James Maple, who joins Amy and I in studio. Hey, James, how's it going?
Hey there, how are you all?
Doing great. I'm glad we're here. We've been building this for a little minute, and I'm excited to hear the first segment, hear what you learned from Tamar, hear some of his music with this context, and share it with our audience. So without further ado, James, over to you.
Thank you much. So if you all may or may not know, I come from a decade plus of music. So music is my heart, is my life, is my everything. So given the opportunity to include some type of music element to the BloodStream podcast, I happily jumped at the opportunity. And I'm so happy to do this with our first guest, Tamar Mitchell, who is a great, great artist. I would say he has a singer, rapper kind of R&B style to his music. You all just heard the first track of his new EP called SAMOs RETURN that came out in 2023, I think just a few weeks ago, actually. That track is called Be Mine. I picked this track because of the vocal range. It shows him as a great singer, and also there's a guitar riff in this that plays throughout that really grounds the music itself. So highly recommend the first track off of the EP SAMOs RETURN. The second track I like is a song called Best Friends. Now this has an excellent beat drop, and also it reminds me of being in my car, top down, sunroof open, and had this like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air vibe to it. I don't know. It just reminded me of like just great a summer vibe. So highly recommend the second track off the EP called Best Friends.
I think we're going to hear that one at the end of the segment. Is that right?
We're going to hear my third favorite at the end of the segment. Yeah, I picked three this time. There's quite a few on there, but I had to pick three.
Tamar is talented.
That's really gathering.
He really, really is. The third track and the one you'll hear at the end of the segment is called Dangerous. The name alone, right, is amazing. So I chose this song because of there's a synth that plays throughout the music that reminded me of like a B-side of like a 1980s sci-fi movie. It reminded me of Back to the Future for some reason. So I highly, highly recommend the song Dangerous. It has a great message to it. And again, that synth in the background really, really roots the music and draws you in, if you will.
Very cool. Now, I know you got a chance to go back and forth with Tamar a little bit about this music. What did you learn from those back and forths?
So Tamar wrote this EP, and he told me that the motif of the EP is cycles of life. We all go through ups and downs, lefts and rights, but we always have to remind ourselves that life is worth living, and he put that into his music in many ways. And I love to play a very small snippet of an interview we did together where he kind of talks about the importance of his rare disease, hemophilia, and the cycles of life.
Hemophilia has played a very large role in my creation of music. Me knowing the struggles of having a disability can be discouraging, but can also be seen as a strength. I mentioned the idea of cycles because they're seen everywhere, in nature, relationships, workspace, and financially. It's up to you, it's up to us to realize if that cycle is a positive or a negative reflection.
So what do you guys think? What do you think about that as a motif of life, of cycles?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth in it, and I like, as he points out, cycles are part of our experience. They're found in nature. They're found in dynamics, family dynamics, workplace dynamics. The only constant is change, right? And I think, too, something that popped for me is, in flow, perhaps for obvious reasons, we talk about cycles, right? Again, perhaps for, very obvious biological reasons. But I sometimes forget that, like, we all, and as a man, I go through cycles, too. Right? They're not connected to a menstrual thing, but we all go through cycles. But I don't always associate myself with going through cycles. And I forget that this is, I've been here before, I'll come out of this, and then I'll be back here again. But I can lose sight of that sometimes. And just now I was like, I wonder how much that has to do with like my idea of like masculinity in some way or like being a man. Maybe not, but that's just something that popped for me listening just now. What about for you?
Just to clarify, that was a Flow podcast.
Flow podcast reference, yes. I missed a key word
Straight talk
there.
about extreme periods, hosted by Jessica Richmond and Sarah Watson. Phenomenal listen if you haven't listened.
Shouts out.
But I agree with you. And I think from an artistic perspective, what a fantastic place to kind of enter and to explore and sit, for a while. I think he mentioned, there's so many different cycles that we experience in life that could be ever changing all at the same time. Relationship, even our relationship to art, relationship to our financial world. And also, I think, kind of diving into that relationship that you have with your hemophilia or your chronic disease, my migraines. It is a cycle. It's never stagnant. It's never comfortable, kind of
It's never
life.
linear.
Yes. Life really is about, finding that comfort within the uncomfortability of things. And so as an artist, what a phenomenal place to dive into. And hats off to Tamar. He's one of my favorite humans. He's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
I see your point and both of your points. For me in particular, the idea of cycles was rooted in my mental health. I find that I go through depression every now and again, and I think that when you're in that low point of depression, it's very, very hard to see the glimmer over the mountain.
Yeah.
For sure.
And when he mentioned cycles, that struck a chord to me to realize that it's very difficult to see how you can crawl yourself out of that situation when you're in the pits, the depths of depression.
Right.
But finding the strength within yourself to move forward and realize that life is worth living, to keep on going and know that there will be something better for you down the line. And you may not know how long it takes to get there, but it will come.
And to learn and to remember that it is a cycle.
Right.
When you're in the depths of it, to be like, this will cycle out, at some point. That's a crucial thing.
What's the other piece you wanted to highlight?
So another thing I wanted to talk about regarding Tamar's EP was the idea of the connection between rare diseases and music and how music can be therapeutic. So I think a good launching pad for that would be to listen to Tamar's answer for a question that I gave him in the audio. So let's give it a listen right now.
A huge connection I see between music and rare diseases is that it's not anything that needs teaching. As humans, we naturally feel music, and it's no different from a rare disease because it's something we're born with.
I loved that answer. I love that answer because it spoke to the fact that music is within us. And there are very few things I think that can exist above socioeconomic status, above race, above creed, religion. And one of those things is a bit off topic is food, in my opinion.
That's where I thought you were going too. I was like,
opinion.
okay, yeah.
Definitely food. I'm a big foodie.
Yeah.
But the second thing is definitely music.
For sure.
And I was researching this segment, I came across a small article on Children's Music Fund from a doctor. He's the president. He's a doctor. He's the president and founder of Children's Music Fund. And he said, for kids with rare diseases, a music therapy session could be used to calm nerves while infusing medicine. Or, and I think this is the one of the most profound parts of this quote, or it could be a way to readjust to society through the common bond of music following a long layoff from school. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that aspect of, you may have to take 2-3 weeks off and you're detached from the inner workings of school, but readjusting yourself back into school, that reassimilation with music as the vessel was profound to me. And I think that's a great way to create communication between people and roots itself in that thing that we all already have within us, that love, that lust to learn and grow with music. What do you guys think?
Rhythm has always been something that I have felt is really important for me. Having rhythm in my life, having a sense of routine, expectations, things I can count on. To me, that rhythm is what enables me then to grow. Once I have it's like jazz, right? Like once I know where I'm at, then I can deviate and I can swing over here and come back around. But if I don't feel like I have a groundedness to me, then it just feels like chaos. And I need that rhythm. And hemophilia has disrupted that rhythm my whole life, including in school. And I love that quote because, missing a couple of weeks of school and then coming back in and being like, what are we doing right now? Like long division with fractions? This is hard, right? But the things that would help me reconnect more quickly to the other students wasn't the friggin' math class.
Yeah.
It was cultural connections. It was like something that the Knicks did in the sports world or something that happened musically that was a moment in time and we could share. So the idea of how music can be used to help a child, in particular, a child who's frequently missing periods of school and other social activities, reassimilate with their peer group, I think is very, very smart and definitely resonates with me.
I absolutely agree. And I love that you brought that. I don't know. That's fantastic. And what a great segment, James, to highlight this, to highlight some of the artists in our community, how they have connected or even pushed away some of their thoughts pertaining to their hemophilia or their von Willebrand's disease or other chronic illnesses. I think that's really wonderful. So hats off to you, and I can't wait for the next one.
Well, this will be the first of many, many more music segments to go. So if you know someone who's within the community who is a musician, please reach out to us. I'd love to spotlight them, give them a little bit of airtime, and talk about the themes and motifs of their music.
Check out the program notes, show description for links to Tamar Mitchell's EP. What's the name of it one more time?
SAMOs RETURN.
SAMOs RETURN by Tamar Mitchell. It's available now. Click the link in the program notes. We're going to hear one more of his songs as we transition over to Dr. Mike Z, the PT, with his special magic tape. That's coming up next right after this song from Tamar. James, great job. Thanks for bringing us this segment today.
Thanks so much.